the children over to the grandparents, and then somebody, must a neighbor or something like that, said it was made a noise complaint because there was too much noise, and they gave the person like a $500 ticket for having the grandchildren over because it was supposed to be
It's supposed to be COVID time.
Yeah. So you can't even see your own family because this virus that they created. It's kind of deadly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really take it in, it's the apocalypse. Like, one of the meanings of apocalypse is lifting of the veil, no?
Yeah.
So veils are getting lifted. Like, people, when you said how can people believe in this whole thing that's going on, that veil got lifted. People are now showing who their God is, who they really listen to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like who's their real parent?
Right.
You know? That's how I see it personally. You know?
Yeah.
Then you have people who are showing their smarts, I guess, showing what they know. A lot of people learning now. Like a lot of every type of veil is getting unlifted. It's really the apocalypse.
That time.
It's really
You got some real zombies out there too,
zombies.
Real zombies out there.
Yeah. Apocalypse time.
No matter what you say or prove or anything, it's like no.
They're really looking for brains because whenever you show you have one, try to devour.
Trying to take it, trying to
whatever. You try to come at you.
Yeah, we're policing each other now, right? Like,
yeah.
All in all, I'm really happy. I mean, the one thing I'm taking out of this is that, I was laid off and everything, but I'm spending a lot more time with my children and my family, and I'm homeschooling them, and I really love that opportunity. And it wasn't just for the COVID, but that kind of made it like it was a stronger
Forced you to
I'm
do
actually
certain
almost
things.
finished the school year with them, so I'm really happy about that, and they're learning a lot more than they learned in school. And also I've been really, like, everything is just coming to me more about, I've been studying, I'm trying to learn more about being indigenous and stuff like for years, but I find a lot of things are just coming to me now a lot faster. Like, it's overload of information. And I'm learning a lot more in the span of this time of being off. I find like every day I'm bombarded with a lot of information. And sometimes I'm not really looking for it. It just comes to me. It's coming. Like, and I'm happy about that. Like,
I can attest to that too,
Like having the time. Having the time,
And then it's like sometimes too, like, okay, you have the time now, and then boom, something comes up, you don't have any. It's like something is, I don't know, like, it's like something is there to try and stop you.
Actually, we could put it out if anybody has any questions. We could deal with some questions before we do our reading today. Today we're going into Spiritual Warfare, The Art of Deception by Ari Coppell. Ari Coppell, graduate of University of Miami, major in psychology, minor in communications, worked as assistant to Dr. Cesar Emiliani in Harold C. Urey Laboratory of Paleotemperature, involved in projects about the study of pole shifts and ice ages. Later attended Columbia University, graduate studies, worked as assistant to Dr. Robert Jastrow, director of NASA, Goddard Institute for Space Studies, author of Getting Back to the Source, Tools for Connection, Protection and Empowerment, founder of 2012emergence.com, shatteringthematrix.com, and radio show host of Shattering the Matrix on Blog Talk Radio. Any questions so far? Joe, about anything? Any topic, any content?
So like I was looking to get conveyance and using the right to travel. How would I go about doing that? Like I was reading up on, like, you have to go to the Ministry of Transportation and get them a writ.
Yeah, well, for with our how how it is in our realm, we pretty much, we play the ministry position and all that stuff. Opposed to you going to them, you come to us to do all that. But then part of that is the individuals having the knowledge to go with everything that it comes with.
Yeah.
So, majority of people, you tell them whatever stuff you have, as far as like license plates or whatever like that, you deal with that for now until you get to that place, cause it's just you and highwayman when they stop you.
Yeah.
There's no calling up somebody and whatever like that, you know what I mean? So, we want the people, just like with nationality and everything else, we want them to have a secure mindset with that, you know what I mean? So like right to travel, that's its own jurisdiction. You know what I mean? The nationality, that's its own thing. Dealing with vaccines, whatever, that's its own thing. And in all these different facets, the individual has competent because it's against whoever's presenting their position to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's something that we have in motion, but with regard to the time of it, we would say yield for now and get the knowledge of that aspect as far as the right to travel perspective. You can start off with on RV Bay Publications, the driver's license fraud page. Yeah. So you could go over that. You could also go over the page on the website, because there's things on the website that you download and different PDFs and stuff like that, just to get the wheels turning with regard to certain things. But all the other stuff, plates and cards, quote unquote license, which would be right to travel card for us. All those things are things that we already have that it's pretty much already set up. It's just getting people in the right mindset before we do it, because last thing we want to have 20 more out there with plates, and then 20 of them pulled over and none of them know what not to do after they get drawn down. You know, you have anything to add on?
Sorry, this question had been though about
right to travel and just that process.
Yeah, I mean, we've been at this for Cujo knows 10 years. I mean, it's about the colonization and the fact that our right to travel has been the main thing that they use to sort of stop our movement, to profile us, to extract finance from us. So yet again, I mean, it's the same thing. As I said, I told you guys that I was involved in sort of my union here. It's about getting the numbers, right? If we have 6 guys, Cujo was doing right to travel 10 years ago. They pulled him over and he was one man, right? The issue is it's called divide and conquer. We all have to come together, being in a common position, doing common things together, and this thing has a chance. Aside from that, you have to weigh where you're at in life and what exercising your true right to travel means versus these colonizers out there with guns and their communication network and all that kind of stuff. So like Cujo says, I always say to people, you have to weigh, if you're going back and forth from work right now and you need your conveyance, let's say, to get there, and you don't like what's going on and you want to try and exercise your right to travel, but your car is everything to you and your family, I would say, in a sense, acquiesce and do what they deem to be what you need to do to get that until you get to a position of sort of comfort. If you're the kind of thing where it's all right, you don't really need the right to travel, and you really are about standing on doing right to travel, then I would say go out there and exercise. But understand that the things behind that will be, if you have a conveyance and you're doing that, they might take your conveyance. Understand that if you're looking to get to your mom's house on time, and you happen to get drawn down by them, you're not getting to your mom's house on time. Understand that, if you get mouthy, and we've had people like this before, whatever, you're going into they're kidnapping you. So really, it's about coming together. You know, Cujo and I know this, I've been here 10 years. It's about showing up, getting a group of people together and making a move. And not moving too quickly. So that's what I would say. Right now, Cujo and I were talking about this before. I've been exercising race child for 10 years, but I'm running the streets as if it's a war out there. I'm looking 10 blocks ahead, I'm scanning 10 blocks behind as much as I can. I see them, I'm pulling over. I see them, I'm taking a right. It's crazy. I told Cujo I'm getting stronger at it, but it's become more of a way of life, because that's really what this is. We're being occupied right now.
We're under occupation.
We're under occupation. These guys got guns, and you don't got guns.
Jails,
and
they
you
got
got
whatever else
family
they got.
if you want, and all this kind of stuff. And nothing's really changed because we don't have the numbers. People are still talking about being black, still watching the NBA All-Star game and shit like that. So that's what I would say. I mean, we can talk individual on it, but what I say to you is, if you're just in this in a minute, and I feel like you kind of maybe are on a certain level in terms of your activity, I would say toe the company line right now. We had enough people that stand on the side of the street telling them, no, I'm not getting out of my conveyance. They smash the door, they smash the window in, and you're off to jail for the weekend. If you can do that, then do it. But if you're going to pick up your girl, and whatever, or whoever it is, and you need to get there, I would tell you to toe the company line right now. It's really, this way, the same thing with this. It's about, we're having the same problem just to show you, we're having the same problem in our local, where I say that we have 1,000 people in there, we might have 30 Asiatics. But I was telling you, they're telling you to get into a position where you can make a change. But until you get the numbers, you're not gonna have the backing to make the change. But then if they never let you get the numbers, you see what I'm saying? So then this guy wants to get representation on the board, but without the numbers, then the representation means nothing. It's really the representation, which is the numbers, which does everything. That's kind of how they're running it. But the fact of the matter is, they've never been running it like that. They've gotten our minds. That's where it is, because we're the majority. All of us are the majority.
The people that are the government, not.
Well, absolutely, and the ones that are running the government right now are the minority. But they've got us in our mind. That's why if all of us tomorrow, as I said, got up, I mean, I tell this story sometimes about when O.J. Simpson was on trial and everyone was about O.J., they said that they lost $500 billion was lost in that hour while the O.J. trial was going on. Whoa. And I realized what that was that all of the Asiatics were off work waiting for the trial to be decided. So what it showed you was that the actual income was the people. Right? So you just have to read the signs, and that's what you're talking about now. Once your eyes are open, that's when everything starts to become layered to what this really is, which is about your enslavement. And the money's the distraction. The work's the distraction. The family's the chain. And that's just off the top. But I would say on that right to travel, Cujo knows this too. We've had a number of incidences battling these guys down the street. We had some good ones, we had some bad ones, but it's always about extracting finance. They caught me a couple times, it's $1,000, $1,200 there, it's your conveyance being absconded for a week. It's stressed out in some parking lot with some idiot for an hour. And I'm sort of I weigh my shit now. Cujo knows that it's like, and we can talk about this. I need to get somewhere. And this guy's an idiot. I'm not going to be sitting on the street corner trying to prove something to him. He's the last guy that you're going to get anything, because they don't pick those guys because of their intelligence, because those guys wouldn't be doing that. If they're intelligent, they know it's off, you wouldn't be on the street harassing someone. They're only getting a guy who's been beaten up as a child or whatever, or has some power and that's you realize that this old man was beating his mother up or so. You know what I mean? We're getting started on this stuff. I get mad, but that's why I say I love all you guys for the effort behind it. But as I said, it's about coming together. Let's have this conversation in 3 years. You showing up here 45 times a year, and we'll see how this evolves. That's what I would say to people. The way they set it up, it's all about that instantaneous gratification. This isn't
microwave stuff.
So I would just say, I would just say
another aspect too, with when he's talking about towing the company line, that's where it comes into the reservation of rights and living within these contracts that we have.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're bound to it like that, because you know that it's a contract, you know that you reserved your rights on it, you know that if they pull you over, they give you a ticket, where sign on the back, go to trial, and then you go to trial and you stand on it there,
Yeah.
opposed to stand on it out here in the street with some riffraff who is
Yeah,
taking
must
advantage
be,
of his little power that he has because he has a badge and gun or whatever,
Yeah.
and then now you're doing, you know what I mean, whatever, ass beat or weekend in jail, get your car stolen, now you gotta deal with all this other stuff when it could have been as easy as going into the court and saying, oh, I have no job, and the judge say, all right, instead of 200, pay 20,
Mhm.
and then the stuff's over. You know what I mean? And then you go about your business without having
So-
to.
Yeah, for example, in the beginning, I did my right to travel, I had a parking ticket. So I went there, stood on my right to travel, did the thing where I decided to take the person who wrote the ticket, put her on the stand to ask her, do we have a contract together? I said to them, what kind of court is this? He told me it's quasi-court. I said, what do you mean quasi? Right? He goes, he starts realizing that I'm challenging him. He's like, are you challenging yourself? I said, no. I said, but isn't quasi doesn't mean real, right? Or whatever. And I realized at that point I'd laid the groundwork for stuff, right? So I questioned her down. They leave it. They end up finding me guilty, right? But then he says, are you working? I said, no, I'm not working. So the remember, this is a $30 ticket, right? That I've now taken a $300 day off work, right? To try and fight this $30 ticket, right? So then it's decided that I'm gonna pay $10. And then he says to me, well, do you have any finance? I said, I'm not working. He says, okay, well, fine, the ticket's done. So I won on that, but I lost $300, right, to the thing. And they, I think at the end, it was adjudicated that it would be $10, right? But if I'd gone to early resolution, it was gonna be 15.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Now, I proved my point, but that didn't go anywhere to any of us. It just made me understand that this stuff was real,
Yeah.
right? But it doesn't change the fact that I still lost $300. And that day that I'm in there, they're getting paid $500.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm just saying that you gotta start, the problem is that we get on this and we're mad because of all the shit we've been through up until this point. And we want to do something, we want something back. But at this time, it's about cooler heads prevailing. Understand, this is about measuring twice and cutting once. This is about walking softly and carrying a big stick, rather than trying to buck some guy down. Who's and I been there too, where we had the guy in, they pulled us over, and then we're battling them down.
Yeah.
We battled them down for an hour and a half, and then they let us go with indigenous plates. But that was a 2-hour thing. Now, it was cool, but it didn't change the price of tea in China. And the next man, we had the next one, we were in there, and the car was up on the thing, and they were looking to take the vehicle. We had to pay a $200 little fine, and we got it back.
Yeah.
But that was still an hour and a half up there, 2 hours. You know what I mean? Right? It's madness. So, yeah, I don't know, but it's those fights that happen. Last one I had indigenous plates on. Man sees me, get fezzed up, chases me down. What kind of plates are those? Indigenous plates. Where's your license? Well, here it is. Right? Give him the Aboriginal. He's like, I don't have time for this. Throws it back in the car and jumps and takes off.
Yeah.
But still, I'm telling you, I'm navigating on the streets as if this is Vietnam or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy shit. It's not healthy, but I'm doing the fight for us. But it's like Cujo knows, it's not just gonna be me, because it wasn't him. Because it's divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Right? Anyways, that's all.
Okay, yeah, I kind of brought up 2 questions while you were speaking.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask in regards to the plates, why can't we have our own plates? Like, or why can't more develop their own plates?
Yeah, we do.
System?
Yeah,
Not
we do that.
because if I knew we can have our own plates, then I could put my plates on my
Yeah.
vehicle, right?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, that's the idea. The idea is having our own,
yeah.
so that we don't have to rely on them.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to that thing of what Omar was saying about the support aspect of it. Because if we're gonna be providing it like that, then we're acknowledging that this is where the government's at, not those people. So if this is where the government's at for your right to travel or for your license plates and whatever like that, then this is where the government's at for your social security. This is where the government's supposed to be at for your hospital. This is where your government's supposed to be at for your schooling, for your children. This is where the government's supposed to be at for all the same stuff that they're saying that they're the government for, we should be handling those things on our own as well. But the mechanisms aren't in place for us to have it in all these different facets. We might have one aspect that we have locked down. So for example, identification, we have locked down. We print our own cards and all that stuff, give our own paperwork, seal our own documents, whatever. Moore's got court sealed documents for them, because that avenue we have under full control. Whereas the right to travel, we don't have full control like that. You know what I mean?
Okay, I don't say but I mean, in addition, like, isn't it like, as indigenous, we have the right to have our own, culture, and we have
Yeah.
the right to have our own things.
Yeah.
We can also choose to participate in
Right.
what we choose to participate in, right?
Right. But it goes back to the numbers.
If we don't have it yet, we could just still have that and then work on building.
Yeah, but that's what we're saying, that with if we say right to travel, let's say, right now, right? And we say, okay, fine, we're gonna give the Moors all their plates, right? 60% of those Moors who have those, there's gonna be issues. Just because of the individual. Because of the individual, where they're at in their mind, where they're at in their spirit, where they're at in their life. You know what I mean? You got some people who, it's regardless of what, it's pedal to the metal. Right? You got people whose mindset is, well, lights are red, but I'm a sovereign, so I'm gonna run the light. Right? They have more, well, sign says 40 in a school, but well, I mean, there ain't nobody around, so we do 80 in a school zone, or not wear a seatbelt, or, you know what I mean, window open, got the blunt, and, you know what I'm saying? Right? Not that's nothing's wrong with that, but all those things are things that are gonna lead to things that eventually is gonna come up the ladder, and then we're gonna have to deal with it. And we shouldn't have to deal with that. People should know off the top. You know what I mean? Seatbelt, check all the stuff, make sure, you know what I mean? Lights working, not, well, I'm sovereign, so I can exercise my rights or whatever. And then going back to the thing with the UN drip and wanting to participate or not, going back to the numbers issue, right? That if they pull over 50 Moors, and 50 Moors got their tags, and 50 Moors are doing stuff right, and then we wouldn't have any issues with these people. But with one or two individuals out here just trying a thing, because there's not really, you know what I mean? We're up to here with this, and we want to do our thing. We want to do what we're supposed to do. With the numbers, they overpower. And all it takes, again, is divide and conquer. They got radios that you could radio him, and then they already know, oh, well, he lives at this address, he leaves at whatever time for this time, for work, for go to the grocery store, go to the whatever. Just pull him down and question him for his stuff. If he doesn't have license, whatever, steal his property. And then that's what it is, as far as their approach with dealing with us. And then we not having the 777 to call when they're coming up. We call our police. And then here come the Moors with their car with the lights or whatever like that. Hold on a second.
That was some of the stuff we looked
You know what I
into.
mean?
Of course, it's a numbers thing.
Yeah.
You have a crew of people that when this stuff happens, they ride on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you gotta have numbers. Like I'm saying, you gotta have numbers. Even without the COVID, you got 11 people showing up here on an average or something. We had 20 at a certain time, but as I said, it's the toxin. It's the toxin in mind for us. If all of us Asiatics woke up, it would be over for them.
Yeah.
Right now, we happen to be, but the prophet also said, if I wake you all up at once, I'm not gonna be able to do anything with you. It's really about moving ahead smartly, and as Cujo says, they have an adage, the tall poppy theory or something, I can't remember how it's put, but the tallest poppy always gets cut. You know, if you're in a set of, if you're in a field of flowers, the one that's sticking up above, it'll always get cut off first, right? So that's kind of a little bit.
Because it's standing up,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, so it's not, so with regard to what you're saying, as far as the setup of it, it's about set it up, but it's on the low. It's set up, we got, we got 10 people who are in holistic health, and they're about to, the holy practice for the Moors, that stuff's on the low. It's one-on-one, interaction. It's not, promoting, yeah, we got a hospital over here because we already know these people are gonna come with their BS to try to shut it down. You know what I mean? And then the other part of it, majority of people, when we look at the right to travel thing, majority of people who have license and plates and whatever like that, there's been some aspect in their existence where either license or plate or whatever has been expired, and what you're gonna do? You're gonna go out there, you're gonna be careful, you don't wanna see these people, and then you end up, not getting stopped or whatever like that, 2-3 years, plates
Yeah, so for
expired.
example, I navigated on that for 7 years.
I
Right.
did that too for like a year. I didn't think Galloway too.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, but the issue is.
Save that thought, but what I was saying with that was that that's right to travel. That's right to travel. Without even thinking that that's right to travel. Plates expired and whatever expired, or when that's exercising your right to travel if you really think about it. You know what I mean? Right? Not having anything and not wanting to be stopped because they already know if they stop you now, they're taking your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna live like that. And I
Yeah,
don't think
I mean,
anybody wants to.
nobody,
Nobody
yeah,
wants to live like that.
yeah, yeah. And again, it's it's like there was some Moors near, I think it was Jersey. There was some Moors near Jersey that they didn't want garbage collection anymore. And their mindset was, we'll deal with our own garbage. You know what I mean? So they opted out of the contract of, the garbage man stopping at their house to pick up the stuff because they're gonna go get rid of it on their own, right? In them doing that, they realized that the garbage collection is there's a monopoly. Nobody else could do that other than the people who are doing it. And if anybody stepped in to try to do it, they're gonna railroad these people top to bottom with no remorse because you're impeding on their terrain. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with the right to travel thing. That we start saying we're making our own plates or whatever like that, these people are gonna be like, oh, what do you mean you're making your own stuff? We're trying to take, because the mindset is, us doing that means that other people are gonna leave them and then come to us. When it's really not gonna be like that. You know what I mean? But that's how they're gonna maneuver with it. That's how they're gonna look at it. Oh, well, they're trying to take our position of being the people who issue licenses or whatever like that.
Even though we should be, because this is our land.
Oh, but I would also say that really what it's about, which is what he was touching on, which is it's about the fact that their leeches sucking off of our energy. And that's all of those administrative policies are all part of that. You have to do this, to do that. Like we talk about this. Why every 3 or 4 years you have to get your license renewed for $100? You learned how to drive back then.
Yeah.
Why do I gotta keep paying you finance? How come I gotta keep getting my thing registered every year for $100?
Your plate is like $70.
Absolutely. So all of that. So that's why I say at the end of the day, even though the financing is nothing, it's about the trapping of the mind. Where I think Cujo speaks on it as if it's not important from the perspective that it's not like that, but that's why they're not allowing it. Because the numbers wouldn't reflect them having any issue if we were navigating around the 15 or 20 of us. I don't think they would care about that. It's more about what that represents to them,
Yeah.
which is the loss of that. And even one of those people doing that is an issue for them on a certain level, because it's gonna wake us up.
Yeah.
Because we're the sleeping giants, right?
Yeah.
We're the sleeping gods.
We're it, yeah.
And on top of that, all of the energy, all of the finance that they get is from us.
Anyways, yeah.
It's from us.
Yeah.
That's what it's always been. Crazy.
Any other questions?
In terms of like, when it says AD, what is that when it's talking about years? I see AD a lot. I know the MCs is Moorish calendar year. What is AD?
Anno Domini or after
Domination.
after domination?
After domination, okay.
Which is basically
And then
them,
BC before
Christ.
Christ.
Yeah.
but the after domination, really, this is what we talked about too. The aspect of them controlling the illusion of time. Right? So Kujo and I have been talking about, I was telling him this, last month, this guy said, oh, and I heard about this about 2 years ago, that they came up with another sign now. So you know your 12 signs? Supposedly there's a 13th sign
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Officious now is that name. And I said, Kujo, there's this new sign. And they were saying, well, you know, the guys who were born before, that's not gonna affect them, but now the new people, they have a new sign. I said, Kujo's like, it's all the same bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's all about controlling
The time
narrative,
and space continue.
narrative,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because your energy comes from the stars, right? And so, you know, those that are Aquarius or whatever, that's their energy. But now all of a sudden, so this is what I was saying to Kujo too, because this is what I truly, absolutely understand, that we all know that there's a sort of time-space continuum that exists but doesn't exist, but then there are seers who can see these things coming. For example, you remember when some of you maybe have been around for the year 2000, when everything was supposed to crash.
Yeah.
Remember that? All the computer, everyone's buying water, all this bullshit, and then nothing happened, right? But what I thought that was really about the changing, because it says in the Quran, the changing of the era, which is now an Aquarian era,
Yeah.
which is now femininity and femininity and truth. So what they did, and this is what I am definitely convinced of, is they have accelerated the time so that you think that what was 2000 was the year 2000, when it was really 1980.
Yeah.
And what they were doing was getting their stuff in order for what was really 2000, which is now.
Yeah.
And that COVID now, and this is what I came to a couple of days ago, I'll put it up there, but the COVID isn't the COVID virus that you think. That's why they say it originated from China. The COVID virus is the fact that China's taken over. China's actually taken over financially. And what they've had to do is shut down the finances because China owns it all.
Yeah.
We're going for an apartment right now, and the owners are Chinese people in China. And we're waiting to hear word back from them. So what's happened is all that stuff that they were doing, sending all their money over there to make cheap shit that they could sell here for all that money. You remember when we were buying Chinese goods and this was all bullshit, whatever? That was all the Europeans being greedy because they would have to pay us a decent wage here, but yet over there in China, you had 15, 20 people living in a house working for peanuts. They all sacrificed all that money and all that energy that we had, we gave to them, right, to make all, so that these few people could make money. And now what's happening is, I'm sure you've heard it, China's now running the show. China's running the show now. So COVID really, the virus of COVID, which they say comes from China, is really the Chinese who now own everything. And the Ma Wangzing thing from the Huawei thing, that's all some kind of, not an analogy, but it's kind of the war that's going on.
Yeah.
I don't even know if she's even trapped up there like that. You know, they got this footage and whatever. She's probably the head of stuff.
Yeah.
If you really, you know what I'm saying? They kind of got her trapped here. You really think that if they want their girl back, that she's probably not coming back?
Yeah.
I mean, they got 1 billion land soldiers. They come in here and wipe us out. They really want.
And they got a billion in debt owed to them. As
$1
part of
billion?
China.
In the United States, right?
Trillion or whatever.
Trillions, and probably even more than that. And then that's where you see the analogy again, where they're talking about China making it to the moon. The moon was an analogy, not about making it to the physical moon. It was about being there. That's what the whole fight was with Russia and America making it to the moon. And America never made it to the moon like that, or maybe they did, and that was the connection. That's why now China, you notice how America hasn't been back to the moon. How come we don't have bases up on the moon? How come we ain't traveling back and forth there? If you ever look at the little spaceship they got up there, you look at it, you're like, this thing couldn't have made it there. It's a little tin, right? And then all the footage that they had from the moon has all been disappeared. This is a game. This is all theater.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Is this live now?
Yeah.
Because some people, they're telling me they're having trouble getting onto the line.
Oh, it's they have to just go on go on the page and look, go on the YouTube page and look for the live video. Because how we were doing it before wasn't working, so I shut that down if you had sent them a link to it.
Okay.
Um, Was there any more questions? Whatever the content. Somebody was saying in the chat about authentication and manufacturer certificate of origin for the title of the vehicle, and taking control, via birth certificate or whatever like that. As soon as people bring that part of the argument up, you're supposed to demand them to see it. So if their position is anything to do with any of the instruments that we got from the colonists, they should have proof that, okay, after I did the whatever with the instrument, this is how it benefited me.
Like, what do you mean?
However, if they say, somebody said authenticate the birth certificate because there's an account with whatever on it. All right, let me see the account.
Yeah, well,
If you did it.
Federal Reserve thing.
Yeah, let me see something. Show me something. Show me something that you discharged with this free money that you got from.
It's all a facade. You
Show
should
me.
realize it's all.
You know what I mean? Like, just show me something. You know what I mean? It's like, huh?
It's like a loon.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. They're putting things out without having anything to back it up. You know what I mean? Like just like we'll tell you, like there's, you would ask some more about right to travel, and then they're about to sell you plates and sell you stuff. Then you're gonna go out there and get injured. Opposed to telling you that, well, you know what? You probably don't want to do that because these people are your criminals. You're not just gonna take off your plates that you got, put them on, and then think that you're just gonna go out there and do your own thing. It's not gonna be smooth like that. The stuff is gonna be like that. You know what I mean? And them not putting it to you like that means they're setting you up to be injured. You know what I mean? And then that's supposed to be your brother and sister or whatever. Why would they set me up to be injured? Why wouldn't they tell me what it is? Right? So you want to make sure that you're gauging people by what they can prove to you when you come into this information. It's not somebody says something, oh wow, he said that, oh wow, that's real interesting, and then you're running with it. Show me something to back up what it is that you're saying. Like we can show you transcripts that we went to court to show that, they know the difference between the straw man and the natural person. We can show you, 2, 3 different types of plates that we used to show that we've been attempting to do this thing called, right to travel with our own stuff or whatever, right? So just make sure that you get something from these people, right? Now, when somebody also brought up syntax, grammar, and all this stuff. Syntax, grammar, and the whole, when you might see Moors write their appellation, and then they'll put full colon, hyphens, and all that. That's quote unquote the syntax language. That was created by a man by the name of David Windmiller, who's a European, and he doesn't have anything to do with Moorish birthrights.
Sorry, what was it? Sorry, you're talking about the syntax and the thing being what again?
Syntax language.
But you're talking about some words would do what?
Hyphenate the L or the B, like actually have the hyphen in there,
Yeah.
or have the full colon in
Yeah.
there, because of what this individual created with this thing of what he calls it was truth language. That
Okay.
the language that they're using
No,
in
I
the
understand.
system
Yeah.
is not really the right language. The real language is
Yeah.
using semicolons and writing in lowercase, not uppercase, and whatever like that.
Nonsense,
All that is just stuff to get you away from where you're
Yeah.
supposed to be, right? Because y'all only bringing that up because somebody brought it up in the chat. And lawyers, they're saying lawyers use that language. Lawyers don't use that language. Lawyers use legalese, which that's its own thing over there that they use. You know, which legalese language is different than lawful language, because legal and lawful are two different things. And the lawyers, attorneys, whoever, they work for the courts. So what they're doing, you don't want to be doing anyways, because they're doing court activity, and everybody knows that the courts comes from the exchequer and the courts come from the Inquisition. So that definitely has nothing to do with Moors, because those institutions is what was used to get the Moors out of power, right? Right. All of it is distraction. Right. All of it is distraction. Anything as far as like you're gonna have individuals that make claims of sovereignty, make claims of nationality, make claims of being Moors, make claims of file something with the IRS, get some number, and then you're gonna be able to do whatever. All that is part of the facade. All that is part of the illusion to get you to not recognize what it is that Noble Drew brought you, and the impact that what he did had. Forget what people are doing after him. The fact of what he did when he was around, and nobody talking about that, is what should be talked about. So just go into this spiritual warfare and the art of deception, the hijacking of spirituality, chapter 3, our amnesia. And this plays right in tune again with Juali and what he presented to Moors, and how a lot of other people are right in line with his program in what they're presented. Many of those who come in already as masters from higher realms forget the purpose of the challenges provided by the negative polarity aspects or the dark forces. Instead, they spend most of the experience in a state of suffering and bitterness. They unfortunately have identified with the reality they are experiencing, forgetting the nature of Creator and the plan, failing to remember their direct connection to their divinity. They do not notice the opportunities that are presented, opportunities that act as springboards out of this third dimensional experience. These adverse circumstances and experiences are set in place for the purpose of giving us hurdles, stumbling blocks, and unpleasant experiences that force us to make choices. What kind of choices? Well, we can choose to react negatively to a situation, we can choose to stay objective, or we can choose to respond with love. These are the choices. The first one elicits negative energy, and reacting with love elicits positive energy. Right? So that goes right into Noble Drew telling Moors need to learn to love instead of hate. Telling Moors the first principle is love. Love for yourself, love for humanity, love for everything. You look in the Quran, it tells you every living thing is bound by a cord. You step on an ant, you shake the throne of Allah. So you have to be cognizant of the idea that there's going to be things out there that's going to come at you. And are you going to have your shield ready? Are you going to have your sword ready? Or what type of position are you taking when these things present themselves? Because anything that presents itself is an opportunity to go to a higher realm once you conquer that thing that presents itself. And it's not far off from what Noble Drew Ali said, that this is divine and it's national. And the divine aspect is most of the time covered over with the national thing, right? To travel and, not pay taxes and not have a license. And how do I get from here to wherever with a nationality card? But then these people aren't even meditating. They're not even fasting. They don't even have incense at their house and sage. They don't even study I Ching or tarot cards or anything like that to know the divine side of the existence. All they know is this mundane third dimensional aspect of the existence, which again, if you get caught up in just the third dimension, then that's where you're going to be at, because there has to be sources of inspiration, like she's going to get into. The sources of inspiration come from you conquering these quote unquote demons, the Christ consciousness of 40 days and 40 nights, battling these demons that aren't some stuff out there or whatever like that. All that stuff is internal. All that is for example, with people looking at the external forces as something outside themselves, or the higher source as something outside themselves, when all these scriptures will tell people that you're God. God is within. God is not some out there thing. As soon as God's out there, then you're probably not going to make it, because now you think the devil's out there and you're looking over there for something to attack you, when it's really yourself. Whether it's diet, whether it's thinking, whether it's individuals that you're around, it all comes back to yourself and seeing the power it is that you possess, that you got from the Creator. And how are you going to be using that power? Are you going to use it for the positive side of things, or are you going to be using it from the negative side of things? But then when you use it for the negative side, know that negative is what's going to be coming to you. And when that negativity comes to you, are you in a position to know that, oh, this negative thing's coming for me to advance to the next level? How do I deal with it? Or are you going to cower and not deal with it, run, throw somebody else in front of it so they can get it, opposed to you dealing with it. As much as you may not want to hear this, there is no growth without challenges of the opposing forces, none. The opportunity for challenges is why many times beings that have already attained their spiritual mastery and currently reside in higher vibratory realms embody into a low vibratory world. They do so in order to have the opposing forces push them into making the choices necessary to expand their consciousness further and raise their vibrations to an even higher level. So in metaphysical circles, the individual that's in the body chose to be here. You picked your mom to come through in order to be here, because you have lessons here that you wanted to learn. So you came back here in order to learn these lessons. But people get distracted by the life aspect of it and get caught up in it. No different than when you look at situations with relationship situations, and you have women not recognizing that their husband, their mate, their side guy, their whatever, all of that is their sons. And they're caught up with their sons. They're caught up in love with their creation. When you're not supposed to be in love with your creation like that. You're not supposed to be in love with your son like that. That entity came from you in order for it to have an experience. Right? Just like we're saying, the individual that's on the plane came from someone, mother, but they chose to be here. If they're not here, if they're not learning the lessons that they came here to learn, then what are they here for? What's their purpose of being here? If it's not to learn these lessons that you came here to learn. But, you know, like you're talking about with the veil, if the veil is, you know what I mean, 50 feet thick or whatever, you're never gonna find your way out of this, you know, you're just gonna end up here, and now you're lost because you can't remember why you're here. Why did I come back here? What? But then again, it comes back to, you know, having certain keys, going back again to Noble Drew Ali and his lessons and things like that, that he brought us certain keys for us to realize these things. That, oh damn, we're not Negro, black, colored, Africans and all that stuff. We got a history as Moors or whatever. You go research that takes you into some realm that you never even would have had experienced if you didn't get out of the mindset of black, African or whatever. It wouldn't even exist to you. You wouldn't even know that it's there. But the fact that you took the steps to trust in yourself, trust in your intuition, no, I'm gonna research this, I'm gonna check this out. We were talking with this with some brothers the other day about how come we're in this place of knowing that something's up, but then you look at the average person and they could care less. They're not looking for higher thought. They're not looking to raise their vibration. Whatever's going on, they're content with that. It's because they're trapped in their illusion, right? And they haven't trusted in their self to see the signs that are being given to them for them to evolve to the next level. They're stagnant because they're comfortable, right? Comfort is stagnancy. You don't want to be comfortable. You want somebody on you. Hey, you know, you need to, you know, you need something tapping you on your shoulder all the time, or nothing's gonna happen. You're just gonna remain in this place where, you know, everything's good, everything's cool, but there's no evolution. But we're supposed to be spiritual beings and advanced beings, light beings and all that stuff. But we're not. The light is not going into the darkness to conquer it, so that it could be a brighter light. The darkness can just exist or whatever. Isaac Newton's first law of motion states, an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion, with the same speed and in the same direction, unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. If they're at rest, they will stay at rest, in the same state undisturbed. If they are in motion with a particular direction and velocity, they will remain on this path and at this speed unless an unbalanced force interferes to change that. And then going back again with, you know, the little things that Drew Ali left, that, you know, he told all Moors are active, not passive. Activity is movement. Passivity is stagnancy. So he's telling you the exact same thing as Isaac Newton and all these people, them breaking down their whatever science that they figured out. And he's coming and keeping it real simple with you. All Moors are active, not passive. So anybody who's saying that they're Moor, their mindset should be in constant movement, constant elevation. There's never stagnancy. You know what I mean? There's never a time where you're gonna find a Moor that is upright, that, you know, they only have, you know, one book that they're reading. Every Moor got about 5 books around them, every time, and every day it's 5 different books, because that draw to the information. You know what I mean? Go into that well to go get some water, which is knowledge. You be at the well all day, just getting it in, because what else is there to do? Anything else is stagnancy. And to be in that place or that state of stagnancy is deterioration. You just leave the apple right there, and eventually it's gonna start and then you're gonna see a little black thing on it, and you're gonna see the skin peeling off, you're gonna see the flies coming or whatever, and then you realize that the life of it is done because it didn't serve its purpose. It was supposed to get chopped up, put in a salad or something like that, not just sit there waiting for something to happen, right? Any questions or comments?
I just wanna add to that, like, it's true, like, a lot of people wish for like some type of easy life, but you don't gain no muscle without lifting weight,
Yep.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
like, hard times are here for a reason, same way how good times are here for a reason, you know? Everything has its purpose,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I want to go on what you said before about you get your mom to come to our children the lesson.
Mm.
And also before that, from the time you're in your mom's womb, you everything is within you. You're supposed to know, right? And when you're born, it's just that you forget. And I'm saying to myself, how do you forget? Like, how is it you're in your mom's womb and everything was given to you, your truth was given to you, but we're always searching for our truth when we're young, growing up older, we're like constantly searching for our truth and what's the reality of things. Why is it we forgot that term of forgot? Like, why, how could you forget? Like, why are we trying to learn, and we forgot, like, what makes the living being, like, forget that?
It's the Noble Drawley calls it truth and falsehood strangely mixed. So the being comes to this plane with a mission, right? Yahshua, Jesus, told his parents, why you looking all over the place for me? Don't you know that I'm about my Father's work? I don't care what you want me to do. I was brought here to do a job. I came here to do a job of my Father. So you don't worry about where I'm at and all that stuff. You go over there and be Joseph and Mary over there. I'm going to be Jesus. I'm going to do my thing with what the Most High sent me here to do. Right? That self-realization is usually cut off by those people around you called parents, family, or whatever. That's how you really forget. Because everybody around you is supposed to be in their purpose. But if you have, uncle whatever is a drunk, and then mom is whatever, and then dad, he doesn't care because he found some girl over there, he doesn't want your mom no more. All these things are things that affect that being. It might not be at the moment, but all these things eventually affect these beings. So when you look at people who are groomed to be whatever, right? They take them from here and groom them, right? When you look at a good example is Shaolin monks, right? That they have them from this big, training them. That's why he could do finger stand, jump on his finger and all that, punch through stone or whatever, because he's been punching since he was this big, right? And they were groomed to be that. So imagine you're groomed. Imagine you come out of the room and your parents groom you to be God. You would never be nigger. Nigger wouldn't even be anything that comes into your mind. Being a deadbeat dad is something that will never come to your mind. If your dad groomed you as a child, this is what it is to be a man. Mother teaching the daughters, this is what it is to be a woman from down here. By the time they get to 6, 7 or whatever, they already know what's up. And it's something that would be ingrained in them, right? Another aspect of it is not having your astrological reading, not having your natal chart and stuff like that, right? Parents don't even go there with it. to even know what the purpose of this being that came through them, you know what I mean? What is their purpose here? They got birthday or whatever like that. Why don't you check the stars and see what their purpose is? Because the stars will tell them exactly what they're here for, what they're gonna do, what job they're gonna do, how they're gonna be as a being on the earth plane. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, it's all gonna be laid out in the stars for them. And go ahead.
Right, because I think it's because a lot of people are in Christianity, like in the Bible, like they say, that's one thing they say, do not, like, not just have your cards read.
Right.
You're not supposed to have, like, astrology, go to a psychic,
Mm-hmm.
all those type of things are seen as sorcery.
Yeah.
So that's why they,
doing it.
and that's
Yeah.
why I'm saying that I think that's why they don't
Yeah.
look to those methods because of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, as if,
Yeah.
They don't want you to know too that it's being used against you, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you go
Yeah.
to court and, you know,
Yeah. You know.
they
Yeah.
you
You
get
know
your
that
date
everything about you.
postponed 3,000 times,
Yeah.
you know,
They studied, yeah, they're doing some studying on you, so they're okay, I'm gonna say this, he's gonna react like this.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
a sense, they don't want.
You know. And again, like, you know, we're getting to this place at, you know, 30, 40, 50, whatever. We're finding out some stuff that we should have found out when we were toddlers. We should have found stuff out. You know what I mean? We should have had our little fez and our little turban as children. But, you know, we know that you know, the powers that be recognize who we are, what our potential is, and do everything in their power to suppress that potential, right? And again, once the individual, once the switch goes off in the individual, and they start realizing, hold on a second, man, you know, Christianity, you know, something's wrong with this, or Islam, something's wrong with this, then they start questioning things, you know what I mean? The majority of people who are even in this information, right? As a child, they question stuff. They weren't just go along to get along with whatever. Everybody who I've spoken to, 90+% of the individuals who came into this information, all their life they knew that this is where it was supposed to be. This is where it was at. There were all these other things going on or whatever, but they knew that there was something that was different with them.
Something was up.
Something was up around them. Things were off. They'll be questioning things. They'll be challenging things. They might get slapped in the mouth a couple times because they challenge some stuff or whatever. You know what I mean? But hey,
Another thing that brought you to sort of see that realized out there was the Matrix. The movie The Matrix, which was that experience of waking up, and then to the real terror that was going on out there. And if you study who made The Matrix or wrote The Matrix, it was a sister who was basically telling you the story that was then perverted into what they did to create their, you know, because what we've realized is that they're telling you the truth, but they're lying to you all at the same time. You're giving you something while taking it away all at the same time.
yeah.
And then I was going to respond to you were talking about the child knowing everything. But remember, what we've studied is the child is only as perfect as the mother. So if the mother's not perfect, even though that child maybe has been in a higher level when they came through this gate, from the very instant they get there, from the time that they're slapped on their ass or her ass, it's all the indoctrination and the ignorance that goes from there. Hopefully you have both of those energies that created you in there. With most of our people, 90% of us or 75% of us come from single, so the triangle's broken, because dad's not there, mom's whatever. So you're talking about, and this is what I was going to say to you, when they were talking about Yeshua or Jesus, his parents were perfect, in a sense. Or that's what they state, that that Mary and Joseph were these sort of divine parents. So the child was divine, from the perspective that the tutelage and the energies that were going into his place here on this domain were that way. they were together, they were teaching him the right things, and they were conducting themselves properly. Most of us come from these situations where if you study them, there's some madness going on in there, right? So from that very early age, you're maybe not, dad's not around, or mom's off at work, or whatever. Then as you get older, rather than sort of being given the right tools, you're being sent off to a European school that's then, toxifying you, or doing whatever, right? So that to me is where it's at. They come in perfect, but from the very moment they come in perfect, they're being poisoned, right? Even from the perspective of getting the breast milk, right? Within a year or 2 years, they're on some formula.
Yeah, or not even getting breast milk formula from the jump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then there was another thing too with what Omar was saying. With regard to Joseph and Mary and the whole concept of the perfection of the Christ's parents, that when Jesus was in the womb, the angels were talking to Mary. That's how he got his divine, connection. Because, just like you said,
That's how Jesus got his divine
Yeah.
connection?
yeah, how Jesus got his divine connection. Because while he was in the womb, the angels were in Mary's ear. The angels were grooming. The angels were grooming him through her because of how perfect she was.
Okay. Sorry, I'm
No, it's all good. It's all good. We're good. We're good.
Okay, there's another thing I wanted to address is that I've been told, like, I hear now that, really, you don't really need, like, a woman can conceive and have a baby without having a male there or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I've heard this,
Yeah.
because of what I'm hearing about Mary and Jesus and
Yeah.
this happening, I know that happened then, but what is the take on that? Like, what is the perspective, like, what's your take on that? Like,
Yes.
Well, the
how does it-
process.
if it is so,
Yeah.
how does that happen? Like,
Well,
apart from the story I know of Jesus.
The process is the process is in nature, where the feminine principle is going to recreate herself first, right? She's going to recreate herself first, which is why all the men are fetuses with no private. Before the sex is determined,
Oh, yeah.
it's feminine first,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Now, the illusion is that the man and the semen and the fertilize the egg and whatever like that, right? But what's fertilizing the egg is the energy in the semen, not the semen. So once you can get that energy to fertilize the egg, then woman would get pregnant. But where is her mind at? Where's her body at? Majority of women today, they have, for example, majority of women today, they have their menstrual in pain when they're not even supposed to be having pain. This is a natural thing in the universe. Why is there pain involved? Because of all the, the toxifications that are part of her being, right? Not having the right diet, so all these things are part of why that can't happen now, and that a man is needed for this procreation process. But it's called autofecundity. Autofecundity. FECUNDITY. Right? So in fictional story, they tell that in Wonder Woman with Amazon women. And nobody never put it together. Now, hold on a second. This is a culture of only women. Like who's Wonder Woman's dad? He never comes up ever. Because she's from the Amazon women, where it was women who were creating women. Because they realized that,
Okay, thanks, Tom.
greatest being on the planet, the being closest to God is woman,
Well, in fact, the woman is God.
right? You know, so when you have the masculine and the feminine perspective, that's a balance. Those two are creating one. The yin and the yang is in one thing. They're not two separate things. Both of those things are in one circle. That one circle is feminine. That one circle is a womb. That these two quote unquote fetuses called yin and yang are in. That's what yin and yang is, symbol is a fetus. Right? In two fetuses in a womb is the yin and yang symbol. Right? And then the soul is the dot in both of those. Right? You could also look at it in nature with the reptilian. You could look at it in fish, aquatic life. The idea of you know, even insect. Everybody having a queen. Everybody's job is to defend the queen. There's one queen, and all these men are on this one queen, and then nobody's not trying to rape her or take advantage of her, or she's only one. Let's rush her. Whatever. No, everybody's job is to protect her. That's your job. That's your duty. You don't got no other duty. Go get stuff, bring it back to the hive, bring it back to the colony, so that the queen can survive. Right? And then when her time's up, creates herself, and then the next queen takes over. Right? You know, and even with regard to that, when you have all these different Moorish organizations and groups and you know what I mean, cliques and whatever, nations starting up, and all of them are started by men, you need to question some stuff. Automatically that should disqualify them. Because nations come from women. Nations don't come from men. Right? That's why Drew Ali told us about we're descendants of the ancient Moabites and all that, tying us to this concept of culture is really supposed to be matriarchal. It's not a patriarchal world. The world is matriarchal. Earth is a mother. Everybody says their home is Africa. Well, everybody says Mother Africa. You know, Father Africa.
They say Mother Earth, don't they?
Right? Mother Earth, Mother Africa.
Yeah, every country, everything is.
Every country.
Is a feminine.
Right?
Even Zion is a
Nobody says, nobody has a car and says, oh yeah, he's so good. Even the car is sheep. Make her look good and wipe her wheels down and all that type of stuff. Everything is based in feminine being acknowledged. But that's, you know, part of the thing again with the disconnect that you were talking about with the children and at a young age, is that they take away this feminine power, this feminine force gets removed. You know, part of the reason why the triangle's broken, because they turn mother into Holy Ghost, because they want her to be non-existent. They want her to be invisible, when she's the power of the whole thing. Right? She's the one that creates father and son. How is she a ghost, and then father and son are able to parade around like the gods of the planet or whatever like that, and Holy Spirit is you know, we don't pay attention to that. We're gonna worry about this devil over here or whatever. You know what I mean? You got some more?
Yeah, just from the perspective though that, because I've been saying before, I was watching the whole perspective that they're saying men are from Mars and women are from Venus or whatever, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But all of that was all still again to divide and conquer, from the perspective that that we are really one. We're really the mirror. The man is really a mirror image, just the same way let's say her part is inside, ours is outside, right? So we're really the mirror image of that. So we're really one being. So they've always been looking to push this separation. We're really one. Todd would say this, that we have these instruments up here, they don't do anything, right? So we're really an image of a woman. We are the image of a woman, but just in maybe it's
Degenerated.
whatever form, right? And we may have been created to, like Kudo says, to do the work. That's why that they say about the birds and the bees. You're supposed to look at these things because this represents life. Because the worker bees are out there doing for the woman, and the manifestation of that is there's one queen and all these men, right? But really, the multiplicity is really the one, right? It's really, and maybe 10,000 little worker bees really represent one female, in a sense, if you can look at that. But then the second thing that I was looking at is the fact that not only have we made the woman the Holy Ghost, the woman has also, in a sense, because I was thinking about this, woman is the force, and men are maybe how that force is kind of manifested. But that the women have really dropped the ball on certain levels as well, from the perspective that the whole creation thing, which is really not, because I used to have this argument right in the beginning with Cujo about how we were the rulers because we are sea-men, right? Sea-man, right? So it's the man, right? And he broke this down and you're right? So anyways, I've stopped saying that a long time ago, right? But that is, and that the whole aspect that there's this thing that the man gives the woman that then triggers her doing this. Well, no, it's the woman who's making that, and maybe in that act, there's the real part that is us, is her putting us into the baby. It's like the baby's the clay, and she is with you, and she's with you, and she's warping that baby, not through the DNA thing of that semen, but through her. Through her energy, she's creating that, how that looks, and what that's about. But then what I was saying is that the woman, they've got the woman so messed up that she has been, they've done things to make the, because I want to make this correct. They've done things,
you don't want to get you.
Right. They've done things so that the woman's energies are messed up. So that she, when she's looking for a mate, or that energy to combine with, it has been co-opted and perverted. Remember even the video that you sent me, Cujo, about the billions of dollars that women spend on all this makeup and all this industry to make themselves look in a certain way, when it's all this sort of artificiality, and they're all caught up with the form and the whatever, and then this translates into how they're picking their mates. And then this is why we're messed up from the beginning, because, you know, we were talking about this too. When you're young, you like that thug, you like the tattoos, you like the way that he, you know, you've got the white beater on. Well, then when he's laid down with you and he's off with someone else, you're mad. Well, he was a thug to begin with, right? But that's the stuff that you were, that, you know, David Suzuki lined up men from 5'5" to 6'4", and 80% of the men and women picked the tall man. Because of the energy system behind that. That's not wrong, but then it didn't translate into, you lined up the idiot, and then the super intelligent guy, 80% of them were picking the idiot because he had muscles rather than the brain muscle. So this is where this thing comes, and that's why I was talking to you about, you're saying that the child is perfect. Yes, that energy is perfect, but it's being warped from the very beginning because
of the mother's state or lack thereof.
And I wouldn't even say it's the lack thereof, because when you know, you look at the Queen of England, she's running the show because she's the queen. Any of those places that you see that are really doing it, like Germany, the head of that is a queen, is a woman. Like the places that know what's going on, they're the ones. They're just not telling you that, and they definitely don't want to tell us that, right? Because if that happens, then we'll wake up. What happens is in our communities, they've made sure that we don't have anything. So one of the guys was talking about this analogy about a race to the bottom. That we're really
racing backwards.
We're really trying to head to the bottom, not to the top. I said, you know, you'll be a good guy studying, going to work and stuff like that, and she wants the thug on the corner, right? And then what happens is 8 years later, after he's had 3 other babies and has left you, it's left to this guy who's been carrying the company line to them. And Cujo, when I talk about this, then you got the next man raising the child. Stepdad.
Whatever.
Right? So anyways, that's so those are just some of the things, because one of the things that we've understood, or I've understood, and I talk to my mom about this all the time. She was the smartest woman I ever knew growing up. Not the smartest woman, she was the smartest person I ever knew growing up. She had 3 degrees after her name, but then she was with my father, who was an inveterate cheater. Hello? Oh, hey.
Oh, forever, so
Yes, you are. Come on over here, we just had a little class. All right, no problem, bud. Everything's all right?
Oh, yeah, so far.
Yeah, so,
Any other thoughts, questions? Any other thoughts?
Interesting.
All right, good. Interesting is good. We'll go with that. Newton's law and your mastery. With respect to beings of light that have already reached a level of spiritual achievement, this law of physics will explain why they make a conscious choice to embody in such a dense and low vibratory world as this planet. The challenges or negative experiences on this plane of existence provide us with the opportunity to see things from the perspective of God. So when observing something in our life or the life of another, the challenges or negative experiences on this plane of existence provide us with the opportunity to see things from the perspective of God. So when observing something in our life or the life of another that is clearly an adverse situation, we can choose how we will react to it. Do we find that we can become objective and not take it personally, or do we become judgmental or become angered by it? It provides us with the opportunity to turn the situation into one that we master as opposed to having it master us. Some of our choice reactions are either positive or negative, and each one will serve as a force or catalyst to speed up our pace towards self-mastery or to slow it down. But without the negative experience, we wouldn't have to make any choice at all. We would be living in harmony and peace for eternity with nothing to propel us to our next spiritual level. Although you may not remember, you've made the decision to incarnate in a dense world, so the unbalanced forces can help move you to the next phase of your spiritual journey. The value of the negative polarity is essential for all of us. For those who have already attained a certain level of spiritual mastery, please try to understand that you need to be challenged here so that you can go to your next highest level. Otherwise you will experience stagnation. The same thing that we were talking about earlier. That all mores are active, not passive. So, and the aspects of being active gets tainted with, people saying, you need to get rid of your license, put some plates on, and when the highwayman comes up, you gotta challenge him and whatever like that and all that stuff to be active. Active is, you meditated, you fast today, you know what I mean? Did you are you looking at your diet? Did you look at yourself today and tell yourself that you love you? Are you living in harmony with nature? You know what I mean? Do you try to avoid the ants when you see them? You don't step on them. You saw the spider in the house and you just hit it with the thing, thinking, oh my gosh, or whatever like that, scared of that, or did you put it on a paper, put it outside? Yeah, like all these things are part of the waking up of the higher being, and recognizing that, oh yeah, well that's me too. I'm not just the flesh only. We're also higher thought. We're also vibration. We're also energy. We're made up of all these different aspects that we neglect to deal with because everybody wants to be comfortable. Everybody wants to, they don't want to, go against the grain. You know what I mean? They want to go with the flow of what's going on. You know what I mean? Like with what's going on out here right now. Everybody just down with well, yeah, I guess there's a virus out there and you gotta be careful and whatever like that, but nobody was careful when, you know what I mean, AIDS, nobody's careful, everybody's unprotected or whatever like that, they don't care. Right? You know, everybody, you know, oh yeah, I just passed the needle and you know, everybody's using different needles and all this type of stuff or whatever like that. Nobody had to care. Now all of a sudden people care, you know what I mean? People blocking their mouth, everybody washing their hands or whatever like that. But before COVID, you weren't washing your hands before COVID? You just, right? You know, but.
They have to put it on TV, you know.
Right, make sure you wash your hands and all that stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know, right, all these things that we don't consider to be, you know, activity are really things that are challenges for us to overcome so that we can raise, even if it's, we have a thing that we say, no more tomorrow than you need today. Right? So you can take it to some next, whatever level it is. It might not be, you know what I mean, the 50-foot jump. It might be an inch. You still made progress. You know what I mean, like they say, it's not about how far you move forward, just that you're moving forward. Right? It's just about making those steps because everybody's on their own sojourn. Like we tell people with coming into this information and you know you're excited by the information, you're reading, you're studying or whatever like that, and you get into some type of zone and you know you realize that, oh damn, I got work in an hour and I didn't sleep yet. I'm reading this book all night. That you know, 8 hours went by just from studying some information. And then now, okay, so, you know, and now you got your challenge. Well, okay, so what are you gonna do? You gotta work an hour. You're gonna take an hour, you know what I mean? Super sleep, 8 hours in 1 hour, or you just gonna, all right, forget that. You just study for another hour, go to work, and just be zombie for the rest of the day. Hopefully, you know what I mean? You're not driving or something for work, you know what I mean? Crashing your whip or whatever. You know? Go ahead. Yeah, any questions, just feel free to put those up.
How do you do, like, okay, how do you do the meditation? I mean, I know prayer and meditation, but especially since, like, I'm finding out, like, there's no within you, like, praying to God, like, you know, because I always tell people, you're trying to pray to God, you know?
Right.
And I like just saying, like, how do you go about getting into meditation? Like, you just put like a meditative music on or something, and you try to stay quiet and just meditate. Like, I don't. What's the best strategy?
Probably the music from the aspect of some form of music that you're in tune with. So for me, it's nature sounds. You know, running water, birds chirping. That's where I go with as far as, you know, getting into that place.
Oh, you just came in?
You know what I mean? Yeah. Right? Getting into that place. I would put that on, and then you have the different hertz that it's playing at. You know what I mean? So 432 is 9 hertz. 432 is what all the music out there is. You know what I mean? How they get people to sing songs they don't like or whatever like that, because the music is on a certain frequency that keeps them sort of monotone, right? And then the higher the hertz you get, then you could feel the energy shift. So another one is singing bowls, having the bowls and maybe using that for meditation, because those go up. You know, people use those in different octaves or whatever like that. But I think a lot of it starts with recognizing that it's not as advanced as it's put out to be. You know what I mean? They have this thing that, you know, sit down and then and then you can't have any thoughts in your mind, which is like an impossible thing because the mind is always moving. You know what I mean? It's what is the mind moving towards. You know what I mean? So you might want to say start with your breath. You know, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. You know, repeating, listening to your breath, to yourself. You know what I mean? Or focusing on your breath. You're inhaling and exhaling. And then you might go into visualizing you inhaling positive and exhaling all your negative things and actually seeing it in your mind. You know what I mean? Now you had some more?
Oh, yeah, one of the other things I was going through, sorry, some craziness here.
No, you're good.
Going through, I was involved in some other modality and was dealing with a Mohawk healing lady. And one of the processes that she talked about was for 13 moons, get up with the sun. And she said, if you were able to do that, that who you were today, 13 months later, you wouldn't be that same person. What she meant by that is, you know, when the sun rises, you're there in the dark, the sun coming up, then I can maybe send you guys the link afterwards. I just have to make sure that it's clear to do that. But there was a process that you'd be getting up with the sun every day for a year, and sort of putting your intentions out and doing all those things, and that was supposed to be an incredibly healing process. But the issue is actually having the
discipline.
Actually, that's what she said, the discipline
Yeah.
to be up at 4:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
or 5:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
or whatever. But what she did say was that, yes, those things may not be able to happen, but when you do get up, you still do the ritual
Yeah,
that
the
you would have
ritual.
done
Yeah.
at the time. But really, you would be able to say to yourself, okay, for this next year now, whenever that sun, you know, I'm setting my alarm for whatever time, and I'm getting up and I'm starting my process, and I thought about it, and as I said, I've been having certain issues with us and the so-called, the indigenous, but I know that a lot of their stuff is our stuff.
Thanks.
Is our stuff. I like the way you work. I'll call you, thank you. That I think there's something to that, the energy of the sun.
Yeah.
Right? I was working a couple days ago and staring right into the sun.
Yeah.
If you stare right into the sun, you realize that it's a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing in that middle. When you stare in the sun, you see like the outline of it, but there's actually a circle in the
Yeah.
middle. It's a
Yeah.
weird, and then they talk about sun gazing too,
Yeah.
in one of those
Yeah.
things,
I was
right?
gonna talk about that with the same thing with the
Anyways,
sun,
no.
with the meditation and the sunrise. Like for example, I have balcony access, so that at that time, you know, from let's say like from that light starting to come to the sun actually being there, that time frame is the time frame to get that energy that the sun's giving you. Because if you're looking at it like, you know, nature is offering you, you know what I mean, this thing every day. You know what I mean? People use sun energy and charge up cars or whatever, charge a building. You know what I mean? They got solar panels on buildings and they're using that for this whole building. What is that doing for yourself? You know what I mean? As far as an energy source, you know, yeah, we could have food and whatever like that. I was looking at who was it? I think it was Dr. Sebi saying first thing in the morning, breakfast is 4 glasses of water.
What?
4 glasses of water.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like ain't nothing else to put in you at the start of a day. You know what I mean? Because of what the beginning of a day brings. You know what I mean? If you got the bacon and the, you know what I mean, potatoes on the side with the coffee and you already shut yourself down before the day even starts, you're done. Right? And then you're gonna need that coffee every hour. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you could have just meditated and been high all day. You know, when you co you know? But the aspect of the mornings, and then also too, if the possibility is there to, when that sunrise is happening, that you're also in nature.
Yeah.
And then you could see how nature's response is to this thing happening.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
other
and-
thing that I forgot about this,
Yeah.
I was sort of yet again at work and trying to listen, but she's talking about water and the fact that we all know that we're made up of water
Yeah.
and sort of giving your attentions to water.
Mhm.
There was this is going back maybe 20 years ago, a girl was telling me that they did these experiments in Japan where they lined up these glasses of water
Yeah.
and then they had someone speaking over the
Masato,
water in a
yeah,
negative
yeah.
way instead of speaking over the positive way, and the way that those crystals form.
I saw that.
So,
Yeah.
so that's important to know
Yeah.
that that's what we are. And so all that stuff is important, right? If
Yeah.
we're water and we're putting negativity into us, then.
Then you're gonna crystallize
Yeah.
in
Well, in a
a
negative
negative way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sometimes,
Go ahead.
just to cap on what you were saying, sometimes, like for me, when I started meditating, I started with just focusing on, I go for a walk and I just focus on the feeling of my feet, you know, as I was taking steps, or just being present to whatever's around me.
Yeah.
You know, catch your mind. For me, being active as I was doing it was helpful at the beginning. It was harder to be still. So
Yeah.
I just did it
Yeah, same
with
thing with me.
whatever I was doing.
Yeah.
So just making sure, as I'm walking in the forest, you know, my mind is going, and then focusing on the birds or the squirrel, or just the feeling of, you know,
Yeah.
I'm walking without pain. I can walk, I can do this, I got 2 legs to walk.
Yeah.
Just grounding myself.
Just taking your shoes off and putting your feet on the earth, that's another thing, right?
Yeah.
Grounding is one of those.
Find like Tai Chi and like those movements help me to me.
Mhm.
So you can like feel the energy moving through your body.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had something to?
Yeah, I had a question, it's a little bit off topic.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
A lot of times I observe Moors, right? I don't see women wearing like the traditional Moor shirts, is that like a reason why? Like, are they permitted to wear it?
Yeah, they can wear it.
Yeah. Is it more
But
like a male, female thing?
some of it is
Fashion.
the pattern has been that men wear fezzes, women wear turbans.
Oh, I see, so
Right.
carried on.
But you see men wearing turbans,
That's true.
so you should see women wearing fezzes or whatever.
Kind of fell into place, I guess.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Very few women go fezzes, but they do. Yeah, there are women who, yeah, very rare, yeah.
What's the significance of the different colors? Let's see, regular bear has a black one, right?
Yeah.
I think I've seen a green one.
Yeah.
A white one.
Yeah, you go black, green, red, brown, white,
When you say brown,
Orange.
you mean like,
yeah, like actual
Brown.
brown, yeah. And then all of them are would be different aspects of government,
oh, okay.
right?
Government.
Or you could even look at it as levels of enlightenment.
Okay.
You know?
To a certain degree,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what I mean? There's if you go on riseofthemoors.org, they have a book on there called Rudder and Sexton that goes into all the different colors and what they mean and all that stuff. It's just like it's like a free download type of thing. But yeah, the more common is the red and the black is the more common ones. The more common colors that you will see. Rise of the Moors, riseofthemoors.org. And I think it's under their download section or book section or something like that. Or you could just Google search Rise of the Moors, Rudder and Sexton. Rudder and
That book
Sexton.
is on there?
Yeah.
Also, what's the difference between Muslim, like M-U-S-L-I-M, and Muslim, M-O-S-L-E-M? Is there a difference?
There's one of them is more one of them is the submitting to Allah, right? The Muslim,
So like
The ones going to the
practice.
religious practice,
Yeah,
and then one of them is the being.
so that's the Muslim.
That's the Muslim. But most of the time, you would find people who are in the religion, they would deal with the Muslim and they wouldn't even relate
The Muslim.
to Muslim,
So
right?
is that why people who are Muslim, I've heard them say like, they believe like everybody's born Muslim,
Right,
and then it's if they convert or is influenced by something else.
right, yeah. Well, from an angle, but the reality is that everybody's born Muslim because a Muslim is a being. Muslim is a fetus. Because everybody submits to the will of Allah. No matter if you're European, Christian, whatever, everybody has to submit to the Creator.
True.
So everybody's technically Muslim. You know what I mean? Like nobody has a superior position to the higher force. But in the dogmatic mindset,
Yeah, exactly.
right? In the dogmatic mindset, this is limited to people who are Islamic, and you know what I mean, and Islamic Muslims, and then Christians over here, and whatever. But
I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
that was my perception for a while.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
with coming into the knowledge of more than
Right, right.
because of like my prior, I guess, belief or system
Mm,
that I learned, which is like Hebrew Israelite.
right, right, yeah,
So, like I'd say a lot of things, and it's just like I started realizing certain things are not making sense
Yeah.
from like a historical
right,
standpoint.
yeah,
And like just certain things that are like obvious. Like I think it was somewhere in Matthew. I don't really deal with the New Testament to that.
mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's garbage, but I
Right.
take
Yeah,
it and
yeah.
apply it to myself.
Right, right.
But there's a part that says like if that one eye be illuminated, then the rest of the body be illuminated.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh, that's obviously the third eye.
Right,
And
right.
then like certain elders of the group validated it. No, that's not the third eye.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so what's the difference from your right eye and your left eye?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, but it's not the third
But
eye.
it's not, yeah.
Being in a position
Yeah.
like that for a very long time,
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, I think I need to start expanding, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I'm always wondering, like, why is Torah always demonizing Egypt?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, don't do Egyptian, like, I'm the person where it's like, my brain works, like, I love mysticism and I can call it.
Right,
So,
yeah,
So
yeah.
I can't help
You
myself.
can't, yeah, yeah.
I have to dig and I have to
Right.
see. So it's leading me to Egypt.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much
yeah.
where I'm here now. It's like
Mhm.
fully accepting the knowledge of,
Yeah.
you know, being more.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, and going back to the thing that, you know, all the obstacles that were in place were there for you to get to this place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having the heads or whatever like that, challenging, you know, what do you mean? You know, such thing as first eyes and all this, like,
It's ironic
you know?
though, because it was an Israelite that first put me on
yeah, yeah,
the Moors, right? But I believe he was an Israelite who kind of seen a bigger picture, realizing like studying Torah is not so much as different as like studying Islam,
mhm,
you know?
mhm. Yeah, and then too, all the different schools of thought
Yeah.
have a mystical aspect that they're never gonna deal with. So
No.
they're gonna tell you Torah, but not talk about Kabbalah.
Well,
You know what I mean? They're not gonna tell you about tree of life and that's the human body and all that and chakras and whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's right there. But, you know, the whole point of the religious, game is to have the people misled,
Yeah.
keep their vibratory rate somewhere where it's controllable. Because you can't, you know, like even Drew Ali said, you know, I can't wake all you Moors up at once because you're gonna tear the place up if I wake you all up at once. So I'm gonna wake you up in degrees, you know, wake you up in portions, so that, you know, you're gonna be the one to put in to get out what it is that you need.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's not gonna be, well, here, dump all the stuff on you and then now you gotta deal with it. You know what I mean? You're gonna go through the motions, you're gonna study, you're gonna fact check, you're gonna, you know, try to find your way.
Yeah.
You know, cause all of it is the individual sojourn, even with, somebody who's in the religious circles, you know what I mean? They're supposed to be going home reading their Bible or whatever. You know, oh yeah, we're just gonna put this on here like this, and then we just leave that there. Oh yeah, today we're gonna switch it to, you know, Psalms 27, and we'll just leave that there for the week. And, you know,
Next week we'll be studying Revelation
Yeah, you know what I
Oh my
mean?
God.
You know? There has to be that evolution. Go ahead, yo. Yeah, go ahead.
Concerning the Sabians, right?
Mm.
And the word Saba, how does that relate to the Asiatic man?
Well, if we look at um, um, Saba is also translated to Sheba,
Sheba, sorry.
so it's not even a masculine thing like that. The Sabians would be like the Amazon women,
Oh, for real?
because Saba is Sheba.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Sheba,
no,
she
Queen
she was
Saba,
a,
right?
yeah. So
But, okay,
it's,
so
it's
Saba-
matriarchal.
Is it a region? Is it a people, like both?
I would say it's more in the line of
Because if you
us.
say Queen of Saba,
Yeah,
that sounds like a,
it's like
queen of a people or queen of a place?
it's like Empress Menen
Yeah,
being called Queen of Kings,
okay.
but she's not Queen of Queens, because the queen rules herself, right?
Yeah.
But she's known as Queen of Kings. He's known as King of
King of
Kings.
Kings, yeah.
She's Queen of Kings.
Just to make
But
sure it's
and,
not-
but he's not King of Queens.
No, it can't be.
He can't be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when the lines get blurry when they start doing well, is it historical? Is it a place? Is it people? Is it just like when they say, Moabites?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Moabites obviously are from Moab.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Moab is a matriarchal culture. That's not even though it's masculine in the sense of how the religion talks about it, the culture is matriarchal. So it's women ruling.
Yeah.
So it's not supposed to be looked at in any patriarchal masculine perspective. It's supposed to be looked at feminine. So, same thing with the Sabians. If the queen, if Saba is the queen of the Sabians, it's probably matriarchal.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
You know what I mean? Just going from logic and reasoning and thinking.
Yeah.
If we go do the research and pull it off and whatever like that, I'm sure you're gonna find people over here who are saying one thing, and people over here saying one thing, and then you're gonna have to come up to your own conclusion anyways.
Yeah.
With regard to how it looks at for you, like me looking through this window, and then you looking through the window is two different perspectives. You know what I mean? Just because of our angling of how we're looking through the window. You know what I mean? There's things that you're gonna see from your vantage point that I'm not even gonna be able to relate to. You know what I mean? Until I get to that place and look at it through your lens, and I say, okay, well, I can see why he or she sees it from that perspective or whatever. You know?
So I got that concept from College Street.
Mhm.
He's talking about the Sabbath, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying how like most people have the ritual down pat. Well, not really down pat, but like they focus so much on the ritual, but not like the actual in depths of it.
Right.
Which, so what he's explaining is like keeping the Sabbath would be like identifying with your ancient roots and keeping certain traditions and practices, right? Compared to like just resting on Saturday.
Right. It's broader than just a Saturday ritual.
Yeah.
Right. And again, going back to, when we look at the cultures of our people, all these different cultures, right? All of them have their root in something that is more than likely foreign to our understanding of it. A lot of our cultural things are archaic, that you're not really gonna go research and find stuff like that. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to come to your own conclusion of what is this? How am I connected to this? What is it something that I can be involved with? Or is it something that, I'm gonna leave that over there as a reference point for something and, go in a different direction or whatever. But that idea of knowing our culture and embracing certain things of the culture is something that's only gonna come with acquiring information from different source, you know what I mean, and coming to a conclusion. Because really it's you know, it's your journey that you're on. Anybody could say whatever, but what do you say about what it is? You know what I mean? And based on what you say, it's either somebody's gonna be riding with it, yeah, that's what it is, or they're gonna be challenging it. And, you know, again, nothing's wrong with a challenge. Because once you realize, oh, damn, I'm actually wrong about that, it should be obvious to, you know, embrace whatever the truth is, and then go with the truth, because that reigns supreme. You know what I mean?
Cause I always like the Saturday, but like I know the movie day is Friday, but in my mind I'm like, is it Friday at sunset or is it Friday morning? Like, is it Thursday night sunset to Friday night sunset, or is it Friday sunset to Saturday sunset? Like, how do you, like the holy day? Like,
Yeah.
what do you?
You always go by
why is it
nature.
Friday?
Yeah, you always go by nature. Always go by nature. So the sun is the reference point for light or dark. You know what I mean? So for example, solar return, birthday, is not 12 o'clock. 12:01, no, hey, happy birthday. No, it's when the sun rises. Right? Because that time is not even the time. Like the clock is not even, that's not even the time, really. The time is really what the sun's doing.
So when the sun goes down, it's the next day.
It's the end. So when the sun goes down, it's still in that day, but the rise is the next day. Not 12 o'clock, 12 midnight, and then 12:01 is Monday morning. No, it's when the sun rises Monday morning. Right?
So, okay, I'm still not getting it. So basically, is it Friday, like?
Oh, as far as the
is
day,
it sunset, like sunset on Friday, but it's going into the next day, or for 24 hours, or is it just from the morning of Friday to the night of Friday? Like, how does that, how you?
yeah, sunrise to sunset would be the gauge. We say Friday because again our culture is matriarchal, and Friday is Venus. Saturn is masculine. So to you know the Saturday Sabbath is more of say religious connotation of Saturday Sabbath as Islamic would say Friday. There might be some other culture that is some different day that they have as their Sabbath, right? But the Friday and Saturday, those days are either what you know the religions or the cultures or whatever's going to use. Majority of them, it's either Friday or Saturday that they use.
So I mean, sorry, but I just want to.
No, it's all good.
Like, so when is deciding, okay, Friday is because it's more matriarchal, it's from Venus, is that based, like, it's, I know we go on a different calendar, right? There's a different calendar. So based on that calendar, is Friday considered the seventh day? Or is it like a totally different concept of the way it's being understood? Compared to, like, yeah, I don't know if it's just Christianity or this, because not all Christianity believe it outside.
Right. There's quote unquote Christianity or other religious perspectives that would say Friday.
Yeah, because I know some Hindustans, I remember when I was growing up, like in the Indian religion, like they go to the temple on Friday as well.
Right.
So
Right.
Friday.
Yeah.
I understand like Judaism, right? We can measure a day starts at sundown. So it's like when the sun's actually going down, like that's when the new day starts. So for me, I would celebrate Shabbat like ritualistically. Friday sundown, Saturday sundown. that's like 140.
Yeah, like us too, oh, me too, growing up, like, I had the Sabbath, yeah, I had the Sabbath was that, but it's just because it started on Fridays, when I started learning about Moors and like how the Friday's a holy day, that's what I was trying to understand, like, it's because of, like, from sunset to from sundown to sunset, or, like, I'm trying to get the concept of it.
Yeah, the ultimate idea is that there has to be a period of time where the God gets their peace to deal with themselves, right? Not out there, God out there is getting a rest because, you know, the first day he did then the second day he did then the third day that's you. You know what I mean? Monday you did whatever, Tuesday you did whatever, Wednesday, one day out of those 7, you need for yourself. Because your time is scattered serving everybody else. That you never have time for yourself. So whether you go, you know what I mean, sunset to sunset, sunrise to sunrise, however it works out, you have to have some time for yourself. Ultimately, is where the idea is going. You know what I mean? That you put so much into others that we neglect ourselves. You put so much into your children. You put so much into your job. You put so much into, you know, making other people happy. And you're not giving yourself any of that. And then when you do give yourself some of that, you're feeling guilty because, you deserved it, you earned it. So you have to, you know what I mean? You have to take it as this is what you know, you're gonna do for yourself. You know.
It wasn't that long ago that we had the Sunday, you know, where everything was shut down. Break. They took that away. I mean, there used to be.
Yeah.
Sundays, the stores were closed.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Everything's
I'll be able to do 12 to 5.
Yeah. Right. And then that's a whole different thing now. You know what I mean? Because then Sunday is Sabbath for certain people, depending on where they're at. You know what I mean?
That's kind of throwing off. That's not separate.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, some
Just yesterday, like, he said that it was changed, and that is not, he explained exactly, and he said if anybody could prove to him that the Sabbath is on Sunday, he'll give him $1,000, and now nobody is giving him.
Yeah.
They just say stuff, they just
They
say,
can't.
oh, well,
Because they can't.
They don't have no proof, they just like make.
I need proof where they made it up.
Comments, yeah.
Where they brought it home.
Any other questions before we close out? Getting up on our 2 hours right now.
Yeah, I know, I can't really relate, so if I have long, so.
Ben, if you have any, because we can take one or two more.
Might be a bit outlandish, but me studying Torah and whatnot, and also the Sumerian tablets,
They sign off on
kind of realize that there's some type of connection with the deity of Israel and some of the Sumerian deities.
Mhm.
So, like, where's your stand with that?
Basically with regard to the location.
These, okay, we always kind of like, this like, these are like beings who are not from here, who assisted with making man, and like, pretty much like the Torah, like the Bible, was kind of conveying this story, but it's one deity.
Yeah.
But in Sumerian tablets, it's
There's
multiple
multiple
deities,
deities,
right?
yeah.
So, I'm trying to say like, do we come from that,
But we look at it like, everybody has a belly button.
Sorry.
So it came from their mom.
That's true.
But it's,
And-
that's why, that's the only reason I'm finding it weird.
That,
Not everybody comprehends.
going back, everybody came from a womb.
Alien
Alien being or whatever, some alien womb he came out of. Yeah, they might have came
Oh, it
here
does say
and
that actually in the text.
they might have came here and did some stuff or whatever, creating
Yeah.
different beings or whatever the case is. It's a possibility,
Yeah, yeah.
but if we go with, you know what I mean, common sense, reason, logic or whatever, everybody came from a mom,
That's true. That's true.
you know, and we sort of nip it in the bud there, because we start going into all these different deities and, you know what I mean, then you gotta bring in the Hindus, and then you gotta bring in the ancient Egyptians, and then you gotta bring in.
Why I
you know?
feel like it's more important for the ancient Sumerians is because they established like a presence in Babylon,
Mhm.
right? In that type of
Right,
fertile
yeah,
crescent region,
yeah.
you know, compared to Hindustan,
Right,
that
yeah.
might be from Hindustan.
Right, yeah, and then also too, you could look at it too, that all of that is Asiatic people. All of that is dark-skinned people, no matter where you go, even if you're talking about there, Sumeria, you're talking about Persia, you're talking about people who, you go check their stuff, they got stone fezzes
That's right.
and afros and beards with curls looking
Yeah,
like
you see
our
the line.
people,
Yeah,
yeah.
you see the line.
You know what I mean? So, you know, and then that's the whole thing with, if you remember some years ago when they were going around destroying all the stuff over there, all the statues and stuff like that over there, because they can't have the niggers finding out that not only did you
Not only.
found Africa,
Found
you
everything.
know what I'm saying? Everywhere you go in the world, your face is there, and people have you on some pedestal carrying you around like you're the gods or whatever, and you're over here playing nigger gym shoes and football and whatever is our foundation, you know? Right.
Yeah, is there a reason why the scriptures kind of demonizes Egypt? Kind of?
I think all of that was just with the same idea of, you know, the patriarchs of Rome taking over and having to have the people who they conquered feel and embrace and accept that you are who we say you are. You know what I mean? Going there and, you know, blowing noses off sphinxes and all that stuff, redrawing pictures, doing all this type of stuff. All of that is part of the engineering, the social engineering that they wanted our people to go through, not knowing. Like one of the biggest ones for us was Asher Kwesi. He's a lecturer that used to go back to Egypt and then document all the stuff and then come back here and do lectures about so and so was black and so and so was black, and you think that look him up online. His perspective that he's presented.
Say it again.
Ashra, Ashra, Kwesi, Kwesi, Ashra Kwesi. He has a few. You should find a fair amount of stuff online with him, lectures with him and stuff, and that's his thing, bringing Egypt back to life for our people to accept that as that's our culture, that's where Christianity comes from, that's where, you know what I mean, all these different cultures stole little things from them, prop it up as theirs when they really got it from us, you know.
Why do Moors like who live in Masabe still fly the Star Spangled Banner instead of just Moroccan flag?
The Star Spangled Banner represents the European nations that came here and the union or the obligations that they have with the Moors. But how it's flown is that the Moroccan flag is supposed to be on the left and the banner is on the right. Is how the setup's supposed to be, because you're never gonna put somebody else's flag before your own. So when you see it the other way, where it's the star stripes and then the whatever, you know that those Moors are on the side of the colonist side.
That's right.
And those will be the ones that'll be telling you, oh yeah, don't listen to those Moors about right to travel, and you know, Moors aren't sovereign, and we don't have a nation, we're Moor Science Temple only, and all that stuff. They talk along those lines.
But the Constitution was made for them to keep
Yeah,
their land.
yeah. The Constitution is their body of law that they got from our ancestors, because they copied that from the Great Law of Peace of the Iroquois or whatever. So, you know, they needed a template, and they use our ancestors as the template so they can have quote unquote constitution, government, whatever like that. All the titles they have, governor and all that stuff is Bay and L and all these different titles that they codified so that they can be us in secrecy, which is where the whole thing with the feds is, and them being masons underground, and they're not coming out and being it, you know what I mean? But you're gonna find their little lodge pictures or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? But majority of the story that they would be presented is that, you know, we were the ones who were the slaves and they were the ones that were rulers, when all that is fiction. Everything is ours. Everything is ours. Peace and love to all the Moors. We'll just get our clothes off going. And everybody who was here today probably next probably have, unless there's other people that sign up, because we're doing sign up right now for as far as the time with being here. So next week it might be a different people, because we're limited to 5 or something until they.
And that may be changing too, maybe as
Like this week, right? I think
it could be changing, maybe that it could go up to 10.
10, yeah.
So, if all of you put on email, and, I think what are you saying, that they should?
Yeah, just that if when class comes again, stick to the email so you know when to sign up. But that if you were here one week, the next week, we're not expecting you to be here, so others could sort of get it.
But the thing is, maybe though, I don't know how it's been worked out with Tesla though, but in the case if no one else has signed up, they're welcome back.
Mhm.
So, I don't know how that works, are you guys just accepting?
Yeah, we send it out, and then whoever
Right.
responds,
And then maybe what we do is we'll just respond to the ones that have already
Who have
attended
been here.
to let them to know.
Yeah. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace. Freedom. And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
night.
By day.
By day.
To his holy prophet.
To his holy prophet.
Islam. Islam wars.
What's your name? Pardon me? Orion.
Orion?
Yeah.